few days ago, I called Noam Chomsky and Norm Solomon cowards. I said they were cowards because they sold out all of their progressive values and told us to vote for a corporate Democrat, Joe Biden. Kyle Kulinski makes the point in this clip I'm about to show you that it's sad that they trot out Noam Chomsky just to tell us to vote for standard Democrats. He has many other points that we should address. And so as not to steal his thunder, I'll urge you to go back and watch the clip because he makes those points well. So these other points that Chomsky makes, sadly, don't get covered by mainstream media because they consider them to be too radical. Truthfully, they're too radical because they would rile up the workers too much. And corporate-sponsored media don't want to rile up the workers too much. So if you get a chance, go back and watch this whole clip by Kyle. It's not that long and it's well done. The problem I have with this clip, though, is that when Kyle urges us to be demanding and aggressive, he doesn't tell us how to do it. First off, he doesn't admit that voting isn't going to do anything. And secondly, he doesn't tell us what to do instead of voting. There aren't very many lefty pundits left that are even going so far as to tell us it's okay not to vote for Biden. And Kyle is one of them. But that's not good enough. As long as we don't get all the way to a Frederick Douglass type of demand, we're just going to spin our wheels for the rest of history. Workers will never get what they need. We'll continue to be lorded over by both right-wing duopolist parties, and we'll never get anywhere. If you're a lefty pundit and that's your endgame, then you're controlled opposition. You're a mild type of sheepdog, and you should be called out for it. In these times, the only acceptable positions are ones that will work. And as I've said many times, the civil rights movement is our model. The poor people's marches are what we should model our own marches after. The tactics as well as the demands. So now let me play a little bit of this clip, the part that I disagree with.
We need to push more aggressively. And I guess my point is, I'm not mad at anybody who is arguing for settle for Biden or is making these kinds of arguments of like, hey man, listen, I know he sucks, but here's why I'm doing it. I get it.
Okay, that's one thing I disagree with. I don't get it. I think we should hold people's feet to the fire, especially comfy, wine track, suburban Democrats. We need to hold their feet to the fire for settling for Biden. That's purely immoral, reprehensible. It's not only half a sack of shit. The fact that it's shit at all means that we shouldn't be doing it. You should be telling your followers, Kyle, not to vote for Biden. You shouldn't be so accommodating here. You shouldn't be saying, I get it. No, don't get it. There's no morally defensible reason to vote for Biden. There's no rationale that anyone can back up with a morally defensible set of criteria. So even only going as far as you've gone to this point, your willingness to accept anyone's rationale to vote for Biden as okay is a kind of sheepdogging.
Man, they brought up a great issue of climate change. There's no way Biden would be as bad on climate change compared to Trump. He just wouldn't. He'd be a lot better. That's a fact. So if you want to argue for him as such...
So what good is Biden being better on climate change if we're still going to go off the cliff? Why is it better to go over the cliff's edge slowly than quickly? We're all going to die anyway. Being slightly better on climate change, that's a fact, but it's an irrelevant fact.
I have no problem with that whatsoever. All I ask is that you be honest. And then the second part to that is, all I ask is that if you're on the left and you believe in these issues, stop settling for half a loaf and keep pushing. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Because unfortunately, so often people either lie when they're trying to push Biden on you, or they will flat out just stop pushing and just be like, what am I going to do? That's the end of it. No, it can never be, what am I going to do? It's got to be, you have to be demanding, because that's the only way we get change is when people stop taking bullshit and really fight for what they believe in and force those in power to bend their will.
Oh, really?
You don't bend to them, they bend to you. That's the rule.
Okay.
We can have the strategic conversations. We can talk about, whether or not it is or isn't okay to vote for various actors. But you have to push as hard as you can for as long as you can to really get change, or else we'll never get it. And you'll keep being placated and we'll keep getting no change.
So Kyle is saying, in effect, I'm not mad at anyone who's settling for Biden. And my answer is, really? Why not? If we're not willing to hold the comfy Dems' feet to the fire, we're not doing our fucking job, Kyle. What absolutely needs to be said here, by you, if you're not going to look like a sheepdog, is that if we are going to be demanding and aggressive enough, we need to pile into the streets and stage wildcat strikes and mass protests. If you are going to be demanding and aggressive enough and not bend the knee like Bernie, like you said Bernie has done, you are going to have to begin to admit that we are never going to get out of the mess we're in by voting. If you continue to lead your viewers down the garden path of electoral solutions, you are no better than Chomsky or Norman Solomon. You are just a different level of sheepdog. The poor people's marches of the civil rights era are the only viable solution, and the lefty pundits who have not sold out, Crystal Ball's position on this Chomsky fiasco is even worse than yours, by the way, and will tell the truth about the futility of trying to vote our way out of this, are our only hope. In scanning the lefty pundit horizon, I find my hope running out. Another thing you could do, Kyle, if you want to get something done, if you want your viewers to push hard enough to do something, you could urge them to do these March to Replace Biden protests. There was one on the 8th. There's going to be another one this Saturday on the 15th. If you could get on this bandwagon and urge people to march to replace Biden, that would be something too. Again, the point is that marching and protesting and striking are probably the only way we're going to get our way out of the mess we're in, and you should know that by now, and you should be leading us in that direction. You tell us to keep pushing. How the fuck do we keep pushing if voting doesn't do anything? We need leadership, Kyle. Where is it? Tell us what our pushing should look like. Why not get out and lead us by example? Why not help me stage some protests? Why not plug the March Against Biden protests and rallies? If we're on the left and all we do is placate and talk, then we're not really on the left. What we really are then is controlled opposition.